Hey, everybody. Welcome to our monthly update. It's a week late. I did film it last week and then I lost it. I had some sort of error message every time I tried to play it and I didn't have time to re-record it. So we decided to table it until this week's newsletter. Hey, Howie, I'm recording. So we are looking at May numbers, and I'm going to kind of go from the top down. We'll talk a little bit about housing nationally, and then we'll look at Charlotte. And then I'm going to do something a little different this month where I go the 10 zip codes that I track every month, which I call the North Charlotte region. I'm going to look at those individually. So if you want to stick around and watch the whole thing, awesome. Otherwise, you can go into the description and I'm going to have a timestamp for each of the zip codes so that you can skip ahead to the zip code that you're in or that you care about. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can look at these numbers in real time with me. You're fine. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is let's talk interest rates a little bit because that's really nationally, that's what we care about. So this is the 10-year treasury yield. This is really, if we're going to look at any kind of predictor of what interest rates are going to do, this is really the best metric that we have. They tend to follow to the tune of about 1.752 points. So if the 10-year treasury yield is at 4.28, you can add about 2 points to that. So we are trending a little higher than that right now, and we really have been for months. But the signs are there that interest rates are going to continue to cool off on their own, just naturally. And then I think I don't know that we're going to see 3 rate reductions this year, but I'm really hoping we're going to see 1. So all of the data is showing that the economy is cooling off, that the level of growth is getting closer to that 2% inflation goal. I've been saying this for a while. I think we're going to have to see some more layoffs for that to happen. Really to the measure that we need it to. But we are seeing a little bit better housing affordability across the nation, not necessarily in Charlotte, but across the nation. And as of this week, the average is 6.95 on the 30-year fix. So just being under 7 is such a relief. I do think we'll see a lot of buyers come back in the market in the form of move up buyers. So people that are going to sell and buy once we get under that 6.5%, because that's really historically where we like to be. Point of reference, it does seem really high compared to the 2.5, 2.75, 3.5 that you got a few years ago. And I know a lot of us are rate locked into our mortgages and not wanting to give up that rate, even if we do want a new home. So we're only seeing, the people that have to buy and sell or cash buyers that don't care about interest rates for the most part. So that's why inventory is so low. And that really just continues to be the message. All right, so let's go look at Charlotte region. So I use the Fast Stats model through our MLS. Charlotte region most recent. So these are your May numbers. And you could see it gives me just some quick facts here and a little bit of feedback with regard to the overall. And then I really like to look at the key metrics that I like are average sales price, and then price per square foot, days on market. And then I like to look at the 30-day month supply and the 30-day new listings. I feel like those numbers tell us more when we look at them just in the past 30 days. So if we're looking right now, so the way Fast Stats works is we get May of 2024 versus May of 2023. And then you get year to date, those numbers, 2024 versus 2023. So if we look at average sales price, we still are continuing to go up across the Charlotte region. A year ago, we were at 481,454. Now we're at 522,635. So that is above the national average, which is really where Charlotte should have been for a long time. Even that median sales price number is getting up there as well, too. And then if you look at new listings, this is where things are starting to get exciting. Historically, I'll just show you guys really quick and Sam. Historically, new listings for the month. Let's do monthly data here. So we're at 8,550 when we look at just May. So this is 30-day rolling data. And then before things got really scary slow, we were back, for May, 9,000. So we're still not quite where we need to be, but much, much closer than where we were a year ago. And then going back to this again. So that's inventory is good. We need inventory. We need inventory to lessen this demand. And I'm seeing that, we're still, when you've got a house that is a great location and good condition and you price it right from the beginning, we are still seeing multiple offers. We are still seeing houses go for above list price. But we are definitely starting to see, and this is why pending sales is down. We're seeing houses sit on the market longer and longer. And then days on market really stayed flat year over year, but this is definitely has gone up, certainly from where we were back in 2021 and early 2022. So what that's saying is if you have deferred maintenance on your home, if it's been updated but over personalized, or it doesn't check all those boxes, it's going to sit on the market if you don't price it right. Buyers at 6.95%, 7% interest rate are just not willing to overlook things like they were a few years ago. So you really do have to look at your house versus the comps that are selling. You don't want to look at active houses. You want to look at what's gone under contract quickly and what's sold to really determine where that list price needs to be so that you motivate the right buyers and get the right people with the right expectations through the door, because then they write offers the first weekend on the market. And that's our thing. That's what we do at Lewis and Kirk along with the staging. So month supply is up at 2.2. This is all just defending what I'm telling you here, where if it's priced right and it's in good condition, it's going to sell. Otherwise, it's just going to sit. But the definition of seller's market versus buyer's market looks at this month's supply number, and anything under 6 months is a seller's market. So when you talk about 2.2, we're not even halfway there to being back to a buyer's market. So still very much a seller's market. We are still seeing, for the most part, seller-friendly terms. There are exceptions to that rule. Right now, if we have a buyer that wants a deal or is looking for a quicker investment or something they can flip to a rental quicker, we're looking at stuff that's been on the market for more than a couple of weeks, because those sellers are starting to realize, that they may not have a high demand product there. And if they're in a position where they need to sell or really want to sell, then they're going to be willing to negotiate a little bit more, and we can get more of those buyer friendly terms. So this is really exciting, you guys. Average sales price here being 522 that's just phenomenal. I remember when I first started really tracking these numbers, when I got into general brokerage and really decided that I wanted to be an expert of the numbers, we were in like the upper 200s when that happened. So that was like 2014, 2015, but crazy. All right, so that is your national and your Charlotte region overview. If that's all you needed to hear, you're good to go. I'm going to start talking about the specific zip codes that I cover. I have 10 that I cover every month: 28078, 28036, 28031, 28027, 28115, 28117, 28262, 28269, 28037, and 28081. So I'm going to do those in that order, and I'm going to timestamp them in the description. So we're going to start with Huntersville. All right, so I'll just go in here, enter the zip code for the monthly data. Let's start at the top so that I can keep it in order. So the first thing I look at every month is average sales price. I like average versus median. So it looks like we did the average for 12-month rolling data. We're still up 3.7 12-month. But if we look, let's see what this is showing me. Yeah, we still went up. I'm not really sure. This must be just pretty flat. I mean, here's the thing. Like, the reason I don't like to look at monthly data month over month is you can have one house that can sway things, good or bad. You know, if a bunch of 2,000 square foot houses sold in May versus 7,000 square foot in April, that can sway it. So that's why we like to look at the rolling data when we're talking about average price per square foot. So for Huntersville, we are at 589,042. So essentially, if you had bought a house 1 year ago, you would, just by living there and owning it, you would have added about 3.7% equity to the house. So that's how you look at that. And then I also like to look at price per square foot. I like price per square foot much better on a more geolocal, like really barreling down to the neighborhood. And I'm gonna tell you why this number is useful. So if you're kind of trying to get an idea of what your house is worth, this is essentially what a Zestimate is. So you can take the square footage of your house, multiply it by $222, and you'll get an idea there. Now, I don't recommend doing that with regard to marketing your property for sale. You're definitely going to want to have an agent look at your house specifically, because there are so many things that can positively and negatively affect that. So, but for a general idea, this is a great metric. All right, days on market. So now let's go over here again to average. This is rolling 12-month data. So as you can see, we had started to go up and now we're trending back down. My guess is this is spring market stuff. This is, this is when most people want to buy houses. So things are just moving a little bit faster. 24 days is phenomenal. Lewis and Kirk's is 3 in Huntersville, just to put it in perspective there. So, but this is great. We like days on market being under 30 days, because the best way to think about this is, if I'm going to put my house on the market, what's the average amount of time I got to deal with showing? So 24 days on average, 3 if you sell with Lewis and Kirk. Now I'm going to switch to the monthly data here. I'm going to look at new listings. So in the month of May, in all of Huntersville, we had 158 new listings come on the market, and that's down 10 from April. So hopefully that'll pop back up when the June numbers come out. For our team, we're definitely listing less houses this month than we did in May and April. So we'll see if that trend follows suit. I do tend to feel like we do enough business at this point that we can look inwardly at our data to know. And then month supply. So this is if all the houses on the market, nothing new came on the market, if everything that's currently on the market sold, how long would it take for all of those houses to be absorbed by new buyers? And it's 2 months. And like I told you, sellers market is anything under 6. So we're still very much in a seller's market. Oh, I got this backwards. Let's see. 2. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to look at Davidson. Davidson always does well, even in a down housing market. Davidson fares well. It is just a high demand place. They're strict about how much building they allow. So, that helps them out. Inventory is always an issue. So they're at 768,876 for average sales price. That is an increase year over year of 8.7%. That's awesome. So if you had bought a house in Davidson 1 year ago, you would be sitting on 8.7% equity for no other reason than you just lived there. Price per square foot. You want to get a general idea of what your Davidson house is worth. Take your square footage, multiply it by 292, and that's your general idea. Days on market, looking at 46. So That's probably a few houses, maybe some new construction that pulled that, but they've stayed pretty consistent. Looks like, 28 a year and a half ago. They had jumped way up in January of 2021 to 53. That was probably when there were like 2 houses on the market, would be my guess. And that people weren't buying them for whatever reason. All right, so now let's go to your monthly rolling data and let's look at your month supply. So we're at 3.4, still under that 6-month mark to maintain a seller's market. And we're at 63 new listings in Davidson. All right. 28031. Let's see here. Let me go back to 12 months. Just keeping it consistent here for you guys. So the average for Cornelius is 817,961. Now, we've got lakefront property and a little bit in Davidson. Of course, downtown Davidson sells for a premium as well. But in Cornelius, we have lakefront property. And then you can certainly get even below the Charlotte average for price point in Cornelius. Cornelius does a little bit better than Huntersville, mostly because of schools. And they have more waterfront property. And that is up 4.9% year over year. That price per square foot number is at $315. That is phenomenal. That's better than Davidson. That's incredible. And then days on market, 31. Really good. Gosh, I remember a couple of years ago, we were talking 11 days was even just the MLS. All right, let's go to monthly and look at month supply, 2.6. And then new listings, 76. It's just not enough. We have more than 76 buyers out there, guys, in Cornelius. All right, 28027. So this is Northwest Cabarrus zip code, so Concord. And they, this was one of the zip codes that had gone backwards with price. Yeah, see, they took a pretty big drop last year. And so I was watching it really closely month over month for any of y'all that have been here with me for a little bit. But as you can see, we are trending back up and we are almost back to that all-time high in January of 2023. So if you bought a house 1 year ago in 28027, you are about flat. You've gone up a little bit, but you're about flat. So let me just say a year ago would be May 2023. So 436,321, and you're at 433. So you've lost a little bit. Again, this is very broad numbers. There's a section of 28027. I wish they had their own zip code. I call it the 73 corridor. For sure that area has gone up. Let me just to show you guys in that area. Moss Creek is one of the neighborhoods that we follow really closely. So as you can see, they're at their all-time high in there. So even though we're looking all the way down to zip codes, real estate is so geolocal. I mean, there are some neighborhoods where you can be on one street and it'll sell for exponentially more than another street. Skybrook's a great example of that because the school district is different. So bear that in mind. There are sections of 28027 that have gone backwards, but when we're looking at, and my guess is if you're watching this, you're probably in that 73 corridor just based on where we do most of our business. All right, so let me go back to 28027. We've got 433, 246, and then and that was, oh, hold on, I need to get that minus 0.7. So that's better. If I wish I could, let me see if I click on that. I know when I started tracking this, and I'd have to go back and look, but I mean, we had fallen. I mean, we were talking 2-3%. So the 0.7 is almost back to where we were. We're getting there. That's what I've been looking at when I look at there's a couple of other zip codes that did this too, 28115 and 28037. So we'll see if they're getting back flat again as well. All right, price per square foot, 209. And again, if you skipped forward and are just now looking, why do we care about price per square foot? If you're looking for a general idea of what your house may be worth, you can use that easy math, which is what a Zestimate is. So you take your square footage, multiply it times 209. I do not recommend doing that if you are wanting to market your house, but just for general ideas. Days on market is continuing to fall in this zip code. Now I'm going to switch to that 30-day data. Month supply, we're at 2.4. Again, anything under 6 is a seller's market. Yay, listings are up. That's good. 124. We need listings. We need them bad. If you're thinking about selling your house, let us know. All right, 28115. This is another one of those zip codes that had taken a little hit with average sales price, as you can see, fallen from the all-time high in June of 2021, took a big dive and then is starting to recover. So we still have some to make up here, but if we go to that average sales price, I'm on 12-month rolling data. Look, guys, we're in the positives. Yay! So 426,385, that's up 0.4%. That's fantastic. All good things. And then average price per square foot is 193. Days on market, 39. That's the highest. Well, that's the second. Davidson was 46, which shocks me. There's got to be 1 or 2 houses that's pulling that. I mean, when you're talking about only 63 new listings, that's easy to do. It's not like big numbers where it would take thousands and thousands to sway it. All right, let's go back to this monthly data and look at month supply, 2.6, not bad. New listings down a little bit from last month, same as Huntersville at 90. All right, now let's go to what I call the Lakeside of Mooresville. And as you can see, when I get there, just a much higher average sales price because of that water effect. People like to look at water and live on the water. I don't blame them. 12.2% up year over year. So if you had bought a house a year ago in 28117, you are likely sitting on about 12% equity. Again, those things vary because we're looking at big numbers, but that's amazing. That's amazing. Let's hope we keep that up. I do think that's going to flatten in some. It's going to get a little better in others that had further to go. Price per square foot, 284. Days on market, 43. That's the highest, again, besides Davidson. So again, when we're talking about these smaller numbers, just a few houses can really skew those things. Month supply, 3.5. It's taking a little bit longer to sell that stuff. I've seen it. I mean, certainly with waterfront property, we've seen people really trying to push price right now, and it's just not translating to this market. At 7% interest, buyers are like, we'll just wait. We'll wait for something else. And then the ones that are priced strategically, we're still seeing multiple offers and $100,000, $200,000 above list. And then we're looking at new listings at 108, which is down a little bit from March and April. Looks like it peaked in March, but we were doing the best in April of 2022 and April of 2021. This is April of 2021. And really it started to back off in April 20. This is what I told people. I was like, this is the peak. I remember saying that on our monthly update. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's going to, when we look back at the historical data, the peak is going to be April 2022. Because boy, it just went whoop. And that's when they started raising interest rates like crazy. And I remember they got to like the mid sixes, I think, about right here. Let's check and see if that's right. Oh, this doesn't go back far enough. I bet I could, yeah, here, I could change the dates right here. Guys, I'm sorry, this is not responding to me. There we go. All right, so October, I said June. Anyway, that's close enough. But this is when interest rates started going up. Was that late part of the year, latter part of the year, and things just, I mean, it halted. The amount of buyers that we had get out of the market. Now, they're paying almost the same amount of interest, and houses have gone up on average 4, 5, 6, 7%. So they're not necessarily buying the house for less, but they're also not having to throw everything in the kitchen sink at somebody to win an offer. So there's benefits to waiting. They're not usually financial though. But you know, I don't want to add salt to the wound and focus on that too much. All right, next stat is, or zip code, 28262. Let's switch back to our 12-month rolling average price our average sales price, $369,912. And I'll get people that'll call me. Did I do six? Yeah. I'll get people that will call me and say, where's our best deal? What zip code should we want if we want to buy? And of the zip codes that I track, I like 28269, 28262, and 28081. To me, that's where you're going to see the biggest. And if you look, I'm not wrong. Look at what it's done. It's flattened out some, but where all the other ones were like this, remember, every other zip code, if you've been watching this whole video, was up and down and up and down. This has just been consistent and sustainable growth. And that's why I like it. And that average sales price is under the Charlotte average. So it's just got the most potential there. 4.2%. If you bought a house in 28262 a year ago, you were sitting on about 4% equity there. What does that mean for price per square foot? We're at 195. Days on market, 30. Not too bad. That's worst case scenario. But, you know, if you list with Lewis and Kirk, it's significantly lower than that because we stage every listing and we strategically price it. All right, month supply, we're at 2.7. New listings, we're at 76. So 76 houses came on the market. New houses came on the market in May of 2024. I'll bet you there's 300 plus buyers for that zip code. So that's why there's still multiple offers. But at 7% interest, they are not willing to pay for a house that doesn't meet the expectation condition-wise, location-wise. So you gotta price it right, guys. All right, 28269 is my other favorite one. Let me switch back. If I wasn't doing this with you guys in live time, I would just take that monthly data and then switch. I wouldn't start over in order, but I want it to all make sense because if you skip ahead and just watch your zip code, I want it to line up with everything else. So for 28269, the average sales price is $373,530. That is up year over year 2.1%. That price per square foot is at 203. Get you go 28269. This is what I'm talking about. Just slow, sustainable growth. Great buy. Great buy if you're looking to just focus on a zip code. Days on market has fallen to 30. Very good. We switched to this monthly data point. Month supply is at 1.5. That's the best we've seen. So if all the houses in 28269 were to sell, it would take about 1.5 months. A seller's market is anything under 6 months. So very much a seller's market. If you have a house in the 28269 zip code and you're thinking about selling, I want to talk to you. Don't call anybody else. Call your friend Rachel. Oh, and then new listings, 123. All right. Now, 28037. This is you Denver folks. Y'all took a big hit last year. Boop, boop, boop. It looked like it bumped up in October and then really fell. And I remember us discussing that, but you have been just back in growth mode. So let's roll this to monthly. Okay, so your average sales price has fallen again since October of 2023. Now listen, guys, this can be this when we're talking about this small of a zip code, a few houses can throw this off. I don't think if you're sitting in a house and you bought a year ago, you're down 2.3. You might be, and in some cases you probably are, but as a whole, we fared very well in 20, just good. But then here's some sharp growth here. And so we're just recovering a little bit from that. We stayed mostly flat month over month. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll definitely keep an eye on this Denver zip code. All right, so we are at 548,650. That's a fall of 2.3%. Price per square foot, 233. Pretty good. Days on market, 42. It's going to take you a little over a month to sell if you don't list with us. Go to that monthly data at month supply, 3.5. Definitely just taking longer out there, which is why price has fallen. Because when you don't strategically price your house, you don't get in a competitive situation, you don't push price. 104 new listings in Denver. So this looks like a bit of an inventory thing too. So last April, we beat this number. Last May, we were at 96. This year at 104. So inventory is up year over year too. And then it looks like the all-time high was April of 2021 at 131. Let's see what the sales price was then. So April of 2021. 411. So that's monthly, but that's not bad. We'll look at that. So you would have sold faster, but you would have sold for less. So we're still doing good long term. All right. Last but not least, 28081. This is Kannapolis. I am loving this MLS. Crazy. It's like a heartbeat. But again, I really love this zip code for investment, especially that cute little West Ave downtown area. So cute. And look at this. You can live in the Charlotte metro area for $315,000. I love it. So we're at 314,922. You can walk to Cannonballers games. That's up 5%. Let's see what price per square foot is. 196. If you've not been watching this whole video, why do I care about price per square foot? You can get a general idea of the value of your house by taking your square footage and multiplying it times 196. I do not recommend doing that for marketing your house, but just again, for general idea. Days on market, how long is it going to take me to sell my house? Oh, an average of about 33 days, unless you list with Lewis and Kirk. We are at between 3 and 5 days. Month supply, we're looking at this just monthly data. So we've gone up a little bit, but this trajectory looks pretty much like everybody else's. A year ago, we were at 1.5, and now we're at 2.6. So what does that tell us versus a year ago? If your house is not priced right, if it is not in the condition that buyers expect it to be, they're not writing offers. They don't need houses the way they did at 2.5%, 3% interest, right? So you got to make sure those things add up. And with Lewis and Kirk, we stage every listing So we make your house look its absolute best. All right, and this is new listings. So inventory is much better. It was a little better in February, but not as good as 2021 when we had 82 new listings. We were at 61 new listings. All right, so if you're still with me, guys, thank you for following along. That's your monthly update. I'll see you next month. I'm going to break this down in the description of the video. I'm going to show you timestamps for each of your zip codes there. And then we're going to give you a schematic too that just gives you all these numbers in a snapshot. If you have any questions specifically about your house or your neighborhood, feel free to reach out directly to me. You can always text us at 704-577-9849. See you next month.